Hey there, nerds. Guess what? Gigabyte has Intel's new 6-core Coffee Lake CPU 2, and none other than one of my favorite laptops from last year. This is the Gigabyte Aero 15 and 15X. This
nice.
particular one is the Aero 15. You know it and love it. It basically has inside of it, inside of it has a 6-core Core i7 8750H. That's base clock 2.2, which obviously is going to be worst case scenario, and up to 4.1 gigahertz. I'm going to guess, it's really going to be buzzing along at 3.5, mid 3s all the time. CPU, of course, is a big deal. 6 cores, unlocked, which I did not realize is actually an unlocked processor in here.
Nice.
Probably not going to overclock in this platform. It's not really made for that kind of heavy duty thermals, but that means other Coffee Lake laptops that have bigger heat pipes that are just larger might be able to overclock. In fact, I'm told they're getting decent clocks out of some of them.
Nice.
This particular model, graphics side, no real changes. Aero 15, you get a full tilt 1066 gig, not a max Q part. Aero 15X, you get a 1070 max Q. But there are a lot of changes besides the CPU in this laptop. Battery still the same, one of the best features, 94 watt hours, which in my testing of the Aero 15 and the Aero 15X gave me spectacular runtime. You're basically looking at all day use of a gaming laptop for non-gaming purposes. Fire up that GPU, that battery will be dead in an hour. But it really is a very usable laptop for other purposes if you're not firing up the GPU. Screen also changed. Previous version had an NVA panel. This new one, let me turn this on. This new one is a 1080p 1080p 100. Well, let's get this right. 1080p 144 hertz IPS panel. So the previous version was NVA. This one is IPS, which of course is always going to be better. Let me make sure there's nothing important on here. It is also 144 hertz. It also does have, still has the Pantone X-Rite calibration, so it will come pre-calibrated from the factory. Gigabyte really says, hey, this is a gaming laptop. It's got gaming chops with a 1070 max Q, with a 1060, but we know your boss is not going to approve buying a gaming laptop. You buy this for work, content creation, that kind of stuff, and you're getting a great laptop there, 6 cores, gaming GPU. For content creation folks, there's also a UHS 2 card support, which Adam could probably tell you that's better, right? I don't even know. I don't do that stuff. Can't afford it. I buy the cheap stuff on Amazon. Adam uses the good stuff. Basically, a lot faster SD cards. So besides the screen, what else has changed?
I see the logo's changed, right?
Yeah, the logo has actually changed. The Aero, it's still Aero. There's also now this LED, which was there previously, only controlled the brightness of the screen, and now also controls the brightness of the keyboard.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so you can crank it up or down. And also interestingly, the weight of this laptop is down. Even though you're getting 6 cores at a pretty high clock, a 1070 Max Q or a 1060, it's actually a little lighter. Apparently the previous version was 4.6 pounds. This one is 4.4 pounds. It's also a little bit thinner. It's about a tenth of an inch thinner than the previous version. I was kind of like, well, where'd that come from? Because you're getting more power, more performance, but it's thinner and lighter. Gigabyte tells me it's all in this panel. Apparently that NVA panel in the previous version was a little thick. This one's thinner. Same vendor, I believe, but apparently it is a true IPS, as in they can call it an IPS, but I don't think it's a Sharp branded IPS panel. I'm still sorting that out, but it is definitely different.
So we have Type A ports.
Oh yeah, let's do the ports. We get 2 Type A, both of them are now 10 gig. We get a full-on Thunderbolt 3, which is a full by-4 implementation, if you want to know, you're that kind of person. Power brick, 150 watts on the Aero 15, 180 watts on the Aero 15X, I believe. It looks like a Kensington lock. Here is your UHS 2 slot for your content creators, doing your video editing on your 6-core CPU. You ain't doing that in your MacBook Pro. HDMI 2.0, mini DisplayPort 1.4. Previous version had mini DisplayPort 1.3. Another USB 3.1. full 10 gig. In fact, this is in fact built into the chipset now. That is actually part of the chipset in the new Coffee Lake laptops, because Intel has added USB 3.1 10 gig support and Gigabit E analog headphone port.
Full HDMI, full Ethernet. That's what I
Full
like to see.
Ethernet, full HDMI. I'm going to point one thing out I really want to talk about, which I think is going to be very interesting. If you want something to just argue with people about, this panel is 1080p, it is IPS, it is 144 hertz. It is not G-Sync. I repeat, it is not a G-Sync panel. The MSI GS65, I believe, at least I said it was, I'll have to verify this, is a G-Sync panel. This one is not G-Sync, which is going to make you go, what? Why would you have high refresh without variable refresh? Gigabyte says they did it mostly for power. If you're going to run a G-Sync panel, generally the last thing you want out is hooked up to that panel. On this one, they're using Optimus, which is hooked up to the IGP. You, of course, can still use your graphics card to power that, but if you're running G-Sync, you really have to run it straight to the video card. And they're saying, because they really wanted great battery life for us, because the Aero 15, the Aero 15X has always been known for great battery life, they decided to forego G-Sync. Is that going to be a deal breaker?
Huh.
I don't know. Some people might go, yeah, I want G-Sync. 144 hertz, what good is that? But you know, I got to say, if you're running a 1070 Max Q with a 1080p panel, 144 frames per second is not going to be hard to hit on a lot of games. So
yeah,
it's an interesting design choice. I don't know. Also, another big change. The previous model, the original Aero 15, had problems when you pressed too many keys at once. They basically didn't expect people to do those Photoshop Lightroom, Control Alt Right Shift R Shift commands. And it would do weird things. It didn't quite work right. So the Aero 15X kind of corrected it. The new Aero 15X completely fixes it. The keyboards are fully N key, unlimited key rollover, right? N key rollover. So basically you could press every single key on this keyboard and you won't have a problem. So those people who had keyboard issues, Gigabyte says, yeah, we've relayed out everything. It's fixed. You're not going to have any problems here. Keyboard still, of course, per key lighting. I love the lighting on this keyboard.
How does the travel feel?
Travel has always been really good. I like the keyboard. I've never been a fan of this 10 key layout. I worked in accounting. The 0 is supposed to go here. Not supposed to go there. It's not where it goes. It doesn't work. This is more like a telephone keyboard, which is not that useful. It's a little cramped. 10 key maybe could go. Trackpad. I will say on the Aero 15 original one, I did have some trackpad issues eventually, but overall it's okay. Mostly for gaming. You're going to be using a mouse. It's hard to say. I'll have to find out when I get it. The shell itself still aluminum. It's really funny because you think it's plastic. A lot of people thought it was plastic when they first got this. It's actually full aluminum, and it is also serviceable. I don't know what it is. You can open it up anyway. It's very easy to get inside of the Aero 15 series. Remove the screws, pull off the bottom. DDR4 266. 2 SODIMMs. I think this one probably only has 1 SODIMM in it. There's a second SODIMM slot you can use if you want. Also, of course, 2 M.2 slots to expand storage. What else? Dolby Atmos audio. And what you want to know, most important thing, is price. Prices have gone up a little bit. Obviously, newer CPUs, all kinds of new stuff. Prices have gone up a little bit. 16 gigs, 512 storage. $19.99 with the 1060, full-on 1060 and the 6-core chip. To move up to the Max Q version, it's $2,300. Both of those with the 1080p IPS 144 hertz panel. And there is a 4K version for $2,500 coming out later in the year. $2,500. But there is a bonus if you do buy the $2,300 Max Q version, which doesn't seem so bad. You actually get Beats headphones. So these are the new Aero Beats headphones.
Beats by Dre?
Yeah, Beats by Dre. Who knew? Who knew? I thought these are actually an Apple-only kind of item, but apparently they're letting other people do it. The cool thing is you can wear this now and you can be a sullen teenager.
Does it also come with monster
I'm just going to
cables?
wear this for jewelry. What?
There you go. Does it come with monster cables?
Monster cables on the Beats cable, maybe. That would be the cool thing. So, available very soon, I believe. Is there anything else?
And we'll go in for testing.
It'll go in for testing. I think that's all the big specs. Basically, you know, the message on the Aero 15 has always been really good battery life. They're saying 10 hours of battery life, which if you think about it, look, we're talking full on 1060 6 gig performance or 1070 max Q performance with a 6-core Intel CPU, 10 hours of regular use. Again, you fire up a game, you're not going to see 2 hours out of any gaming laptop. But you use this for Outlook, you use this for Photoshop, a lot of things that just general use, you're going to get all day performance. Basically, if you're going to work all day, play at night, take a good look at the Gigabyte Aero 15, Aero 15X.